Is that shortcut worth it? Really? Here are 19 reasons to watch Big Driver. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Musson at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is the place where I talk to you about all things Stephen King. And in this video, we're continuing our chronological walk through the movies and adaptations of Stephen King's works. And we are covering the 2014 made-for-TV Lifetime movie of Big Driver, which is an adaptation of the novella with the same title that was captured in Full Dark, No Stars. Now, a quick content warning at the start of this particular video. I don't tend to do these, but for this one it felt important because of the nature of what happens in the story and therefore in the adaptation as well. This video does talk about rape and sexual assault, so if that's something you don't want to engage with, that's absolutely fine. Move away from this video, watch something else. But otherwise, just wanted you to be aware of that. It's a pivotal part of the entire story. Can't really avoid it. So we'll be mentioning it and we'll be using the word rape. So again, if you don't want to hear that, that's fine. Take care and I will see you soon. But otherwise, let's crack on with this, shall we? So a couple of quick plugs before we start. You can check out my collection of short stories, Once More Around the Sun. It won some awards this year, which made me feel very proud. And if you like what I'm doing on this channel, you can become a member. You can become a constant viewer, get access to members only videos. There are specials up there at the moment on my top 10 supernatural kids from the world of Stephen King, Stephen King's best author photos, some other stuff as well that I can't even remember off the top of my head. At least 2 specials a month. So do check that out if you feel like it. Now, as you already know, we're covering Big Driver in this particular video. This is the final adaptation of a King work from 2014. This one starred Maria Bello. It was directed by Michael Solomon. And, well, for a Lifetime movie, it goes a lot harder than you might think. Now, if you're worried about spoilers, don't be. Anything that I say here that might ruin a first-time watch, I will hide behind a spoiler alert. So at that point, you can just find the timestamp to the outro and skip all of that stuff. Or, of course, if you want to, you can just watch the whole thing. Now, talking about watching the whole thing, if you want to check out Big Driver and you're in the US, you can get it on Prime at the time of recording, and in the UK, you can find it on Amazon as well. So there you go. Okay, let's fire at the sat-nav and get into this, shall we? Here are 19 reasons to watch Big Driver. So the headline reason to watch this, well, as I said, this one goes way harder than you would expect. It was a Lifetime movie, so the female-driven storyline kind of makes sense, but I was in no way expecting the rape scene in particular to be so brutal and harrowing. And it's pretty bloodless for the rest of the movie, but it is a TV movie after all. But even so, it is a very affecting piece, and just like I said, a lot darker than you might expect if you were just looking at it from a where did this come from, who produced it point of view. Also, the acting, it's a simple thing to say, but the acting is very good in this, especially compared to what you might expect from a made-for-TV production. It just has a level of competence and a level of care about it that you don't often see in these types of productions, that really does elevate it and makes it feel better than just another made-for-TV Stephen King adaptation. So what's the story in this? Well, it's basically the same as the novella. Our main character, Tess, is an author who goes to give a talk at a library and is advised to take a particular shortcut to cut some time off her journey home. Only when she's on that shortcut, she drives over some planks of wood that have got nails sticking out of them, gets a flat tire and is stranded. Then this huge man appears and says he's going to change her tire for her and set her on her way, only for him to turn around, attack her, brutally rape her, and leave her for dead. He thinks she is dead, so dumps Tess in this culvert, where it turns out he's been dumping lots of other women after having attacked them. But Tess isn't dead. She waits until her attacker has gone away. She escapes. She manages to get home, and she manages to find out about her attacker and his accomplices. And then, well, she sets about getting some revenge. So as I mentioned, this one was directed by Mikhail Solomon, and that's a name that might be familiar to you if you're a regular here, because he also directed the 2004 Salem's Lot miniseries and a couple of episodes of Nightmares and Dreamscapes from 2006. And his direction here is pretty good. It's solid, and the thing as a whole gets in, gets out, and doesn't overstay its welcome. It's a good little movie. This one was written by Richard Christian Matheson, who also wrote the background episode of Nightmares and Dreamscapes. And again, I would use the word solid here. The script is pretty good, and every so often has a couple of really good zingers as well.
Say homicide. Homicide.
Now, I will acknowledge that Tess frequently being joined by Doreen, one of her own fictional characters, it gets a bit weird. But it also kind of helps explain what's going on in Tess's head, which in the novel is very internalized. So it's weird, but I'll allow it. Okay, let's look at the cast of this one. So Maria Bello as Tess is excellent throughout. You see her go from her normal day-to-day to being a victim, to being a survivor, to just transforming into this all-out badass, and it's very satisfying to watch. Will Harris as Big Driver is disgusting and terrifying.
Didn't think you're going to be meeting the Jolly Green Giant out here in Willywags, did you?
Olympia Dukakis as Doreen is, as I've already mentioned, a bit weird and a bit annoying, but also kind of fun, kind of cute as well.
Lovely dear.
But it's Anne Dowd as Ramona Norville who wins this one for me. A very cleverly drawn character, and a really good job of transitioning that character from page to screen. Oh, I almost forgot about the rock and roll royalty in this. Joan Jett as Betsy. Yes, great choice.
You really don't belong in a place like this.
So lastly, before spoilers, while this doesn't exactly bring anything particularly fresh to the rape revenge genre of movies, it's well made, it's well acted, it does the job effectively, and it's a solid little film.
Oh, that's Big Driver you're talking about.
Okay, from this point onwards, going to be talking about a few things that might ruin a first-time watch for you, so consider this your spoiler alert, and if you want to bail, just find the timestamp to the outro and come and say bye before you go. Otherwise, stick around, so I've got a few more reasons for you to watch Big Driver coming right up. So in terms of how closely this one sticks to the novella, well, it's pretty close. There are a couple of changes, but they all work in terms of streamlining it for the screen. Like, that's the overriding thing I get from this movie. It just works. So on to some of my favourite moments. I enjoyed this part of the climax despite, unusually for this movie, the acting here being terrible. As mentioned earlier, the rape scene is harrowing. I wouldn't necessarily call it a favourite, but it is striking and the fundamental part of this movie, so deserves a mention here. But my actual favourite is probably where Tess finishes off Big Driver by shooting him in the balls. As for my favourite line, it's this bit where Tess is giving advice on how you should give feedback to writers about their work.
Never tell a writer their stuff is crap. It brings out the worst in us. I take my writing very seriously.
By the way, please go and review my collection. So when it comes to connections among the cast and crew to other Stephen King adaptations, already mentioned the director and the writer, and Maria Bello, of course, we saw her in Secret Window as well. When it comes to Easter eggs, I felt like Tess's escape through the culvert was a bit of a nod to Stu getting out of the diseases centre in Stovington in The Stand. Might be a stretch that, but a more obvious one. The numbers on the license plate of Tess's car was 775, and you add those up, and of course, you get 19. Lastly, again, this is decent. It works. If you're okay with watching something that centres around a quite horrible rape and what happens afterwards, then it's a very competent and satisfying thriller. You could do a lot worse. Okay, there we go. There are my 19 reasons to watch Big Driver. Have you watched this one? Are you a fan? Are you interested to go and check it out now you've watched this video? If you haven't watched it before, let me know your thoughts on the Big Driver movie in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And while you're doing that, maybe consider checking out my own collection of short stories, Once More Around the Sun, or if you really want, become a member of this channel, become a constant viewer, get access to some cool emojis, early access to regular videos, and members only exclusive specials as well. I've got lots planned for members in 2025, so it's a great time to get on board and join this little family that we are curating over here. Next time we will get to this month's book special, and it's my final regular video of 2024. And you know what that means? Or maybe you don't know what that means. It means it's a ranking. But what am I going to be ranking? We have to come back and find out.